Hi, Andrew Portess here, kicking off the previously promised coverage on Windows 8. Now, Windows 8 came out on the 26th of October 2012, so I've had a couple of days to play with it. And initial impressions, by the way, are very good. I actually personally think that it is the best Windows ever. But of course, there are a lot of changes. And so I wanted to start off like a video series going through those and to help you learn your way around and stuff. But for this video, I want to keep it very basic. Now, if you bought a new PC with Windows 8 preloaded, or of course a touchscreen device, or if you bought on disk or downloaded the upgrade to Windows 8 and loaded it onto a computer you already have, you will obviously go through the initial setup process that I have actually filmed in a previous video. But then after that's all done, the first thing you're going to see is this, which is the Windows 8 lock screen. And you may be wondering that even though it looks really nice, how do you move on from here and log in to your computer? Well, as with a couple of things in Windows 8, how you use Windows 8 sort of is different depending on whether you're using a touchscreen or a keyboard and mouse. Right now, I am using a keyboard and mouse with Windows 8 as I have it installed, actually dual booting with my Mac on a separate partition via Boot Camp. So that's how I'm able to do this video for you. But yes, as I said, in order to start, when you're presented with the lock screen, there are a couple of ways that you can get around it. You can either press a key, any key at all if you have a keyboard available. You can click and drag up with the mouse. That's a left click, left mouse button that I'm holding down to drag and move this up. Or if you're using a touchscreen device, you'll literally flick the lock screen up using your finger. So if you imagine the mouse pointer is your finger for a second, you literally will drag it up, and then there you go. You're presented with the login screen, and you'll be asked for the password that you created for the account that you made during the initial setup process of Windows 8. You'll press enter, and now whenever you start Windows 8 and you first log in, rather than the desktop that you saw in previous versions of Windows, you will start on the start screen, which of course is rather appropriate given the name. But the start screen actually replaces the start menu from previous versions of Windows. And so you may be looking at this, finding it very daunting, and perhaps have a couple of burning questions. I'm going to answer a couple of those right now, since we're here, since it's quite key information and you may just want to know right away. First question might be, how do I log out of Windows or switch user? Well, this user account that I've made for this computer is actually made specifically for doing these YouTube vids for you, hence the name of the user account. But if I actually click on the username, like for you it may actually be your name, left clicking on this will allow me to change the account picture, lock the computer, sign out, which is the equivalent of logging off any previous version of Windows. Or I can easily switch to another user account just by clicking on which user I want to switch to, and it would actually leave this user account still signed in. So it is still possible to have multiple users logged into Windows at the same time. The other burning question you may have is, how do you shut down Windows 8? Now, on a mouse, you would actually move the mouse pointer to the bottom right to reveal the charms, and this is something that I'm going to cover a little later on in the video. Actually, on a mouse, moving your mouse to the top right of the screen will work as well. However, do please ignore that silver bar that just came up. That is because I'm running a Mac with Mac screen recording software, so do ignore that silver bar there. But as you can see, the chimes still came up, and shut down is actually in settings, power, and then there you see it there is shut down. There are obviously a few other functions in here as well, and I will go over those later on in this video. Yes, here we are. Here at the start screen. All of the tiles here are all the pre-installed apps, and I can literally launch any of them with a click. But you may have noticed one of them is actually the desktop. And I think that one of the best things to sort of learn about Windows 8 is that the desktop tile here, you can treat it like any of the other full screen apps that are on this screen. So in many ways, the desktop behaves exactly the same way as other apps, and I will show you now what I mean. If we click on the desktop to open it, you can see you're presented with the very familiar interface that you're used to from previous versions of Windows. You still have the taskbar, you still have the notifications and action center that's just conveniently popped up for me. But the one thing you don't have is the start button that would, in this version of Windows, take you back to the start screen. But in fact, let me show you some of the ways that you can get back to the start screen. You can move your mouse to the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, and then you'll see it pop up, and then you click. You can obviously still use the Windows key, just like this on your keyboard. And if you are using a touchscreen device, I forgot to mention that your way to bring up the chimes is by actually flicking in from the right hand side of the screen to the left. So if you imagine again that the mouse pointer here is your finger, it's sort of like doing that. You move your finger in and the chimes will appear. Obviously that is also how you'll be able to tap on settings in order to get to power and shut down. I apologize for missing that. So yeah, chimes have most of the key functions really, and now that you know how to get to the desktop and how to go back to the start menu, let's talk a little bit about those. One of your most useful ones to start with is going to be search, because in search by default it shows you all of your apps installed on your computer in the same way that all programs in the start menu used to. But if you look at the right hand side, you can see that there are many different things I can click on here. So with a single click I can actually search rather than my apps or my settings. So for example, if I type in wall, it's going to give me lots of personalization options, most likely due to the fact that the computer thought I was about to type wallpaper, or it's given me some settings I can change to do with Windows Firewall as well. The next button down allows you to search for actual files on your computer, but as of yet I have nothing to do with wall. But then below all that are all the pre-installed apps that I have, and we can actually, with a single click, search those for whatever you have typed into the search field. So for example, I could search the web by clicking on Internet Explorer, and then it will load that up. It will literally open the app for me rather than me having to go to the start screen and doing it myself. And it will put in wall into the search box, and there you go, it's loaded the page. There's my web search. I could also search the new Windows App Store, although I believe that for this particular user account that I've made for this YouTube vid, it is an offline one, I think. So it may ask me to create a Microsoft account that I'm not going to do. But don't worry, I will be covering the Windows Store in a later video. But we'll just see what happens here. So it's loading up, I assume. Yeah, here we go. Oh, no, there we go. Even on an offline account, now we know that you can browse the Windows Store for apps without creating an account. That's really cool. Okay, so I actually want to get back to the start screen. Again, I'm going to do it the same way I always would. It's just go down to the bottom left corner and click. Again though, if you're on touch, you can flick him from the right hand side, reveal the charms, and click the start button there. Cool. So let's go back to the desktop a second, and I'll tell you about a couple of the other charms. The reason why I've gone to the desktop to show you the next two charms, which is share and devices, is because these two these two charms here actually do different things depending on the app that you're in. So in terms of devices, when I click that, it's going to tell me about basically all the other devices connected to the computer. And I believe actually with devices it will show up, this list will show up the same anywhere. But right now it's telling me about my second monitor, and if you do have multiple monitors with Windows 8 is a great upgrade for you, because you can actually now stretch your wallpaper across multiple monitors, and you just generally have a lot more customization when it comes to multiple monitors. But you can also you know, set them up a lot easier as well, so I'm really pleased with that. For the share charm, I'm actually just going to jump somewhere else where it kind of would make more sense on second thought. I can go to a web page, so let's open Internet Explorer again. And again, to bring these up, I'm just moving my mouse to the bottom right. If I click share while in Internet Explorer, I can actually see that it's going to share this web page, this particular web page I'm looking at. I can share it via email, or I could share it to one of the contacts stored into the pre-installed People app. So as you can see, Charms is actually really, really, really powerful, and there's a lot you can do. If I show you settings in a little more detail, with Internet Explorer, you're seeing you know, all of the settings to do with Internet Explorer when it's running in the foreground. If I jump back to the desktop, I can see settings to do with the desktop. This is really, really cool because there's quick links to the classic control panel. As you may have seen, I have links to personalization. Obviously with the control panel though, you can change how it looks, just like before. So a lot of the stuff on the desktop is just how you remember it on Windows 7. It's just that the start button is actually gone, but when you move your mouse down, again, you see it. So yeah, that's pretty much all the basics actually. You know, once you know how to get to Charms, and you know how to open apps, I suppose the one thing I didn't show you is switching between the full screen apps and closing them. So let's quickly do that. If I open another full screen app, so like weather, it's going to load up in a moment. It actually, with your permission that I've actually granted it previously, will get your location or your rough location and present you with local weather, which is really, really convenient because it literally was a one-click setup. So here we go. It's just loading the latest information, and here's the pretty rubbish local weather, to be honest. Lots of light showers, or showers anyway. I don't know if I call them light. But yeah, let's talk about switching applications. If you're using a mouse, that's actually what the top left corner is for. That's the only corner we haven't talked about as yet. But as you can see, every time I click, it's swapping between them. You may have noticed though, if I move my mouse down after going to the top left, and let's see if I can get it going. I may have to open more applications. Let's see. There we go. Right, now you can see all of the apps I have open, and I can actually close full screen apps this way as well, just with a right click. So if I want to close the store, I right click on the store here, I go close, and then there it's gone. You also saw two other options there. For example, like with the weather, let me do this with the weather. Let's go back to the desktop and then bring up the options here. Right, with the weather, check this out. I can snap it to either the left or right side of the screen, like this. So I can still see what the weather is like, and it actually changes the layout of the app entirely. And I could still do other stuff like browse the file system with the still included Windows Explorer. You'll also notice, since we're back on the desktop, that windows in the desktop are closed in the way that you are used to, with a little close button. That really hasn't changed. So yeah, you know about snapping now. I can get rid of this full screen application just by dragging it out of the way. I can also, though, if I bring it back, let's snap it to the right this time. I can also resize it to be the larger app, and then as you can see, the desktop becomes the smaller one. And you may be wondering, what's the point in having the desktop as a small thing like that? If you have multiple windows open, say like Windows Explorer and Windows Media Player, or any of your other sort of classic apps that you use within the desktop, like Word, this would be like an app switcher on the left hand side, so that you can quickly make it full screen again and you can see the desktop just like this. So yeah, really powerful, very flexible, and it's actually really cool to multitask in this way. The last thing I need to show you then, since we've dealt with all the corners, we've dealt with logging in and out, getting back and forth from the start screen, it's just closing these full screen apps, which, as I said, the desktop is included in that. So basically how you close a full screen app is if you take your mouse, you see when it goes to the top of the screen, it turns into a hand there. I'm trying to show you as best I can because I know the bar from my Mac is going to come down if I take too long. But anyway, you'll click and drag from the top of the screen with the left mouse button, and you'll see that I can drag this window around. I can also dock it to either side, just like you saw with the snap. But to close any full screen app whatsoever in Windows 8, you'll drag it down to the bottom of the screen and then let go of the left mouse button. If you are on a touch device with a touchscreen PC, oh please excuse that menu there, sorry, you will take your finger and you will drag down from the top to the bottom of the screen. And that is literally it. So I think we've actually covered everything there. Shutting down the PC, like I said, is when you open the charms, you'll go to settings, power, and shutdown. Sleep and restart is found there as well. We've covered logging off and switching users, which when you click on your username in the start screen, you see all that functionality there. We've talked about opening and closing full screen apps and explored a bit of the desktop, what you can do with snapping the windows. Lastly, I think I should tell you how to find more help. Obviously, like every version of Windows, there is a lot of help included, though I will be doing more YouTube videos in the future. Anyway, though, the best way to get to help is to literally search for it. You will be searching apps, so make sure that's selected. You will type help, and there it is, help and support. And when you press enter, it actually will open within the desktop. So let's take a quick look at this. It connects to the internet, gets the latest information, and right here there's a getting started section that I'm sure will be very helpful to you, covering what looks to be a wide variety of topics. You could, of course, search the web just as easily. If I bring up the search charm again, and you go into Internet Explorer, you could type your question, whatever you want to look for, just into here. And as you can see, search is now also giving me a history of what I've searched for in the past. So again, very, very powerful, and hopefully will be very, very useful as you get used to Windows 8. I believe I've covered all of the basics, though if any of you have any questions, I just want to say that feel free to ask in the comments below, and I will do my best to get back to you. And if I feel necessary, I will do specific videos on specific things. Just let me kind of know what you want to see, and I will gauge what I should be doing from that. Or if I don't do a video, I'll certainly try and get your question answered in a reply to your comment. Also, I should say as well that if you have any suggestions on how I could be doing better with future videos, then also please let me know, including stuff that you'd like to see with Windows 8 or other stuff you'd like to see in general. For me, though, I believe that's it. I think that will get you started. And yeah, until next time, take care. This has been Andrew Portess, and yeah, bye bye.